all this stuff. What's up, Dre?
Hey, what's up, Martin? How you doing, man? Thanks for having me up. I had a question to ask you, bro. I wanted to ask you, which since you're the one that bought the Wu-Tang album, kind of shift gears a little bit on some music. What'd you think of that Wu-Tang album? And you see the news that the album's coming out for everybody to listen to? I kind of wanted to get your little, your thoughts on that.
I didn't hear it was coming out for everyone to listen to, but
I thought I saw
um,
something that they're finally releasing it to the public. And since you're the one that bought the one of
I,
one, I just
I think they're playing the album, which I also did last weekend or yesterday, right? Um, I don't think it was very good. I played it in its entire. Well, I played disc one in its entirety yesterday for a lot of people. Um, yeah, it kind of sucks. You know, it wasn't mastered well, so like I think the rapping is actually pretty good. But it's not as good as it could have been. So maybe I give that a B.
Wu-Tang
wow,
fell off.
that's crazy.
Well, I mean, some of the you can never go back in time. Like Eminem also quote
Yeah.
unquote fell off, right? Like, but like there's nothing that any of these guys could do to get back to like their old selves because like it's such a moment in time that just can't be relived. But I think that they still are artists that are pretty good. It's just the production that wasn't great. And I like the guy who produced it and everything, but it just doesn't sound great. And I think there really is a difference between production and mixing and mastering. Like those are three very
You
separate
got a
things.
producer and an
And
engineer. Whole different
yeah,
thing.
and then mastering is like, like an outside
Yeah.
engineer that like does like his own clean listen of it. And it's this kind of could have used improvements in all three. I think the production was actually smart. Like all the songs were written well and like intelligently, but like there are times in the album where you just want to
Yeah.
shut. There's just like a siren blaring or something like that, and it's just like way too loud, and like you're like, who thought this was a good
People
idea?
take good
But
mixing and mastering for granted, and then you hear a song like on SoundCloud or something without proper mixing, mastering, layering, all that,
Well,
then
the
you really
engineer
notice it.
The engineer is the most important person. You can have the best artist in the world, but if you don't have somebody manning the boards doing all the back end, then obviously the sound's not going to be booming. And like their classic albums, I was just curious, bro. Like, what was it like possessing it first? And you still have a copy of it then?
yeah, I played a copy yesterday. I sent it to a bunch of friends and stuff like that. I mean, it's the day I got it. I mean, didn't want to hoard it, but I mean, I think there's a lot of hidden music around the world. That people still have like that people would love to listen to, but a lot of people cherish it as personal mementos. Like I know Courtney Love has a lot of personal music that she recorded with Kurt, whether it's the two of them together or just around the house and stuff like that. And I've been trying to get that out of her. Um, I finally got a dialogue with Sean Ono Lennon. My dad passed away before I could tell him that. He would have been very happy to hear that. I was talking to Sean Lennon, but I think Sean's pretty rich, so I don't think he needs the money to give me John Lennon's tapes. But there's a lot of stuff like that, and then there are fakes, which is kind of interesting. This guy from Washington, Aberdeen, Washington, where Kurt Cobain grew up, he wanted me to buy this tape. He said he was like banging Kurt's aunt, and that he had this tape, and he wanted me to buy it for like half a mil. And most people think that the tape he claims he has is fake. And there will be people who like sit there with a shitty old cassette tape or whatever, and they'll record themselves playing fake Nirvana songs, like trying to sound like Cobain and being like, "Bro, this is a long lost Nirvana tape," and like beat up the tape cassette a little bit. Like, okay, this is it. This is it. It's Kurt Cobain's long lost songs, and you're like, these songs are shitty. It doesn't sound like him. Then you got to call like Dave Grohl and be like, Grohl, you ever heard of this shit? He's like, nah, bro, this ain't him. But there are people who are like Nirvana experts that can like tell the difference, and like then there are idiots who will like just buy it, like crypto people or someone will like just be like, yeah, bro, get this extra Bitcoin. Let me just get that. So I think I don't know, like there's a lot of paintings like that too. Like I would wager like a couple percent, not like 10% or anything, but like 1 or 2% of like Picasso's, Manet's, like stuff like that are fake. And they're just like, there's a 60 minutes about this that was fascinating. There's a guy who's like so talented at painting these
Yeah.
fakes. I don't know if you guys ever saw this. It was a brilliant episode, probably the best episode they ever did of this guy. Maybe was it 60 minutes? It might have been, it might not have been, but it's some documentary where there's this brilliant man who could forge any old painter, and he would make these like paintings, and people would come in and they'd examine them and be like, "This is a real Picasso." Like I'd be in the other room and be like, "I just painted this shit." uh, and the art collector would be like, "I'd pay 15 million for this," and the guy had gotten away with a lot of shit like that. So it's kind of funny now they do like radioactive dating and like all this other stuff to determine it. But magic cards were another little market I was in. So I like these little things: unreleased music, magic cards, collectibles. Crypto's obviously great. I'm kind of similar. I think there will be like some of these old NFTs will actually like have a big comeback. Like a lot of them will go to zero forever and ever. Some of them will go to zero, and then like seriously, like 20 years from now, people will be like, I discovered this like long lost, shit goblins or something like that on ETH, and they'll like come back in some like massive way and be worth millions. Like art's worked like that before, so you never know.
Yes.
And
I was gonna say
what do
that's dope that you're part of
you?
history like that though, bro. Like just being a part of that little Wu-Tang era and that little thing was dope. And what do you think about celebrity meta, Martin?
Celebrity meta.
Like all these people pushing tokens and shit. Like, what do you think about that?
Oh yeah, it's obviously nonsense. I mean, it's the tide rolls out when the economic activity kind of dies down, and that happened with NFTs the first time where we had this 2021 kind of peak with VC funding as well, where you saw. I was just looking at a company called CockroachDB, terrible name, but great software company. They make a database, what they call a cloud native SQL database, whatever that means. But they got up to like a 5 billion valuation, and now they're at 1 billion. And that whole 2021 period where Tiger and SoftBank like fought to see how high they could pay in valuation for companies was a weird thing. And the same thing happened with crypto. The same thing happened with a bunch of things. And that's not a surprise because like when M1 or M2 or M3, like just money is flowing, like that's going to be what happens when there's ZERP, there's COVID stimmies, like all that shit is just money piling in. So like, what do you do about it? And I think that, the best thing to do is sell whatever you have. And that's when I actually chose to sell the Wu-Tang album. I got to sell it for 2.4. I bought it for 1.5. So it was a good deal for me. I used the proceeds to pay Uncle Sam. But it was a timed sale because I had it and nobody wanted it. Nobody was willing to buy it. It sucked. I thought I would take a huge loss on it.
Who bought it?
I
Who
thought it
bought it,
best
Martin?
some crypto guys, but this guy I talked to um, helped me find a buyer. He's an old friend of mine on one of my boards, and we we thought maybe 500K, and then the NFT boom hit, and we were like, "Oh, this is perfect." And we thought we would get like two or three, and it was weird because we got 2.5, and then the guy who bought it like double crossed somebody and flipped it again for four. So it's like a very odd, like, I don't think anybody really knows that full story, even me. I know my side of it. Um, but it's a long story. And the guy who did the deal is now in a coma. So it's really, really crazy. Um, just such a strange situation. But Nipsey Hussle did a similar kind of like limited release run. Punk bands do it all the time. There's a punk band I like called The Hotelier, where they put out like 100 numbered copies, vinyl copies of a disc, and I like search for all 100. Like I want to buy them all, and it's just kind of fun. People do that with like limited pressings. Like the first blue vinyl disc of Bleach, I think there were Nirvana's album. There were 250 copies, and most people pay like thousands for that first Nirvana record. So, there's people collect anything, and Who's that chick, Bella Delphine?
Yeah,
I think she sells her bathwater, right?
yeah,
So
that's the
like,
one.
people will buy anything, and I think you get to collect the things you like, and then you gotta leave, after 80 or 90 years, and you enjoy the things that I think it's important that it brings you enjoyment. I hate the people that buy things. That's why I did the Wu-Tang thing, because there's so many people I know that buy paintings. They don't care about it. They're buying it for status. They're not that interested in the art. They're just interested that it costs so much and that they're going to flip it again for a lot or something like that. And it's like, if you just snap your fingers and you had all the money in the world, what would you buy? Like, you buy the things that you care about, that you like. They may not matter much to other people, but maybe they matter to you. And that's, I think, what it's all about. So we'll see, but
I'm
um,
gonna splice that right now, bro. That was a bar, just to let you know.
thank you. Thank you. Anybody else have something on their mind?